Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the main event. You're here with me, Daniel, who's just been caught in the rain.
And Aaron almost went
Definitely.
early there. Didn't know you were still talking.
uh, Aaron, we're back for our first just general preview show of the year, which is really, really nice. We've decided to split them up this year. So we've got our Tuesday night games on one podcast, and we'll be doing the Wednesday night games on another. And included in the Wednesday night, because there's less to talk about, just in terms of you only really want to be picking a minimum amount of players from Wednesday fixtures. So we are going to do chip strategies on that Wednesday podcast. So we're going to be looking at the benefits of limitless and the benefits of wildcarding this week. Now, obviously, if you don't want to do either, that's your decision. It's absolutely fine. I just know that about 90% of Twitter will be using one of them this week. So I just want to look at, if you were to wildcard this week, when's good to maybe limitless. If you are going to limitless, I imagine you're going to wildcard in 3 anyway, and we'll talk about the benefits of that. But before we move on, because I do sometimes forget, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Especially with all the hard work Aaron's been putting in. His wife is literally ready to burst, and he's come on. Yeah, he's sacrificed his Sunday, so give us a like for him. And if that's not bad enough, I think an even greater sacrifice is I'm 7 episodes into Cobra Kai, and I've just had to stop it now 3 episodes from the end. So there's levels to this. I hope you're all grateful. We are available, obviously, on YouTube as the main event, if you're looking at us, and we are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Anchor. So please give us a subscription, and we will continue with the preview pods, because that's what people are here for, Aaron. So, do you want to lead the way, my friend?
I will indeed. And so, just if people didn't know, my wife is very close to labor. So if I end up, hopefully I might not even edit it out. Just push.
Bring her on. We'll do the first
Lion King Circle of Life moment. The start of many.
That's what people want to see.
But something that is almost as painful as labor, we're going to talk about Inter Milan.
Okay.
They've got the early kickoff on the Tuesday away to Victoria Plzeň, as you have corrected me on the pronunciation for that.
I've not corrected you. I've just said it correctly, and you picked up on it. So that's a you job. Well done.
Okay, thank you. So starting off with Inter, because I'm thinking that these are going to be the assets that we're mostly interested in. They beat Torino 1-0 in 89th minute winner from Brozovic. It was a not a makeshift starting 11, but there were some changes. So Gerson's got rested. I think we are interested in the wing backs, although he was brought on as a substitute. Dumfries started, but was brought off as a substitute. So I think both of them are good to go for this game. We'll obviously get the lineup. Lukaku is still not fully fit. So I'm not sure how much of the percentage he's owned by, but Dzeko and Lautaro seem to be the starting strikers. Brozovic, I think he's all right value for the ball recoveries that he gets. He doesn't score often, but I can't remember his price off the top of my head, but he's a pretty solid midfielder, to be honest. But I think in terms of the centre backs as well, I think Inter defense is probably where to go for this game, and I think a couple of people will probably. I'm not sure about doubling up, but they'll definitely have a defender. So Gersons and Dumfries started the last Champions League match. Dumfries has been having a streak of starts lately, even though he has been subbed off. So that could be a potential banked clean sheet. But also his attacking potential is through the roof. He's often the most forward player in this team. And Gersons is just getting back to fitness. There's the 0.5 difference in price between them, and I think that is justified just because of where Gersons is in his recovery. Although I do think he will start. So between the two, do you have any preference, Dan? Dumfries or Gersons?
I'm more scared of watching Dumfries. However, I think Gersons is a better player. I think if you put them both in the same opportunity, Gersons is going to score or assist. Dumfries is just I always feel like he's like that lost child. Do you know, like when there's a child that's somewhere they shouldn't be, and then you just see the parent drag them away? Like that's Dumfries. He's like just in the box, like in the 6 yard box. Like, can I play?
It's like playing pro clubs.
Yeah. Like, so his positioning and stuff absolutely petrifies me. Like, I don't know how great of a footballer he is, like technically wise. He should probably have more goals for the position he gets in. So I think you just, if you run a limit this, you go both. And I think one of the reasons is, like, who else would you go for Inter Milan? Because the thing is, you're probably not going to go for a forward because Haaland's got Borussia Dortmund at home, and Dortmund aren't great defensively. They aren't. I know they kept a clean sheet in the last Champions League game, but they did concede one. It was fractionally offside. And we mentioned the first 5 minutes, last 10 minutes, that Copenhagen could score. They got battered at the weekend. So you're going to go Haaland. And then you're probably going to want 2 PSG forwards against Maccabi Haifa. So if you're not going to go for Lautaro, Dzeko, anyone like that, then outside of those two or the defenders, like, who are you going to go for in Limitless? I feel like you're pretty much stuck with them. So maybe just if you are going to want a double or triple, just go for the pair of them. I think if I gun to my head, if I choose one, is Gosens cheaper?
Yeah, 5.5.
I'd have to. You know what? I'll ask you. Does he look like the same Gosens? Can he be the same Gosens at Atalanta? Do Inter provide him with the opportunity to be that Gosens?
To be fair, the last Champions League match was his first start, but when he's came on, he's just as attacking. Inter play everything through the wing backs. It kind of inherited still from Conte's style of play. Like they've still got a system built for that, and the current manager, it's kind of like when new Chelsea managers came in after Conte, they were like, well, that's the system everyone plays. Let's just stick with it. Almost, I think even though it might not be their preferred system, I think I remember Lampard trying to four at the back and multiple different systems. But then and then Tuchel's brought it back to a 3. So it just, the system is so ingrained in these players, it just doesn't make sense to go a different way. So everything goes through the wing backs. And I think it just depends on his fitness, to be honest. And between the two, I think a large part of it depends on the goalkeeper. Handanovic was the kind of the league goalkeeper, but in the last Champions League match, Onana was the goalkeeper. And obviously he didn't look as confident. I think it's his first start since that suspension that he, like, when he was banned for that year. So I think if we see Onana start, which is a very possible scenario due to the opposition, the defense and the clean sheet appeal of all these players goes down a little bit. And so if we do see Handanovic start and they kind of view this as a must win, I feel a lot more confident starting them. And I wouldn't double up if Handanovic is not starting. That's my opinion.
Wouldn't double up on Gosens and Dumfries. Okay, interesting. So my answer is I'd go Gosens in that case. So let's assume that you were on a limitless wildcard. Early kickoff, right? If you're on Limitless, you kind of want to target good early kickoffs, preferably home teams. Not the biggest thing in the world. We've seen that sometimes you can do better away. For example, Real Madrid last year smashed Shakhtar 4-5-0 away. They'd only beaten 2-1 at home. So there are things like that. I think they got beat off Sheriff in Madrid, but beat them away. So the home away thing I'm not too bothered about, but if that is something that you look for. But obviously we are looking for pricey players. Is Inter a team worth it?
Inter aren't an expensive team on the game, to be honest. There's a lot of top 4 teams that are actually more expensive than Inter. So Lukaku and Lautaro are the most expensive players, 9 million and 8.5. Obviously, we know that Dumfries is on the kind of premium defender bracket, but all of their midfielders are about 6.5, 6 million. So Brozovic, as I mentioned before, 6 million. So if you are looking for that clean sheet potential, or the ball recovery potential, sorry, he's 6 and Barella is 6.5. Actually, I lied. Dumfries is 5.5 million and Gosens is 5 million. Apologies for that.
And that's what you said?
No, I said that Dumfries was 6 earlier.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah. But Darmian, if Gosens isn't 100%, 4.5. If you're on a normal wild card, he could be a good option.
I don't like him on a normal wild card because you don't know which three are going to play in that case. I think if you're on a limitless, it's fine. If you're on a normal wild card, I still don't think you go for Darmian because I think he's the biggest rotation risk of the three.
Yeah.
Don't get us wrong, he plays both sides. He plays right and left, so he's got more opportunity than the other two. But I think he's definitely
you'll get minutes, but
second choice.
when he comes on, he doesn't have the same attacking threat as the others.
Yeah, it's just a waste. I'd rather, if I was going to go for a defender, in that case, I'd rather go for Skriniar and be done with it.
No, 100% agree. But I think Inter have to win this, knowing the games that are about to come up for them.
Yeah.
So, which I'm very excited for the other game in this group. Should we start with, I guess we'll touch on Victoria Plzeň. Not great. I mean, they did score against Barcelona.
But 3-2 at the weekend, I think.
Yeah. I just don't think there's still very many great options due to the pricing. Although they are at home, this is their most winnable game. But all of us are using our chips, really. Is there anyone? For me, there's not. But I don't know if you've got any magicians up your sleeve.
No chance. We've got Inter, but then obviously they've got Bayern, Inter, Barcelona, which we knew. No, there is no chance. You've got 32 teams to pick from. This is the team I'd pick from the least of every team. Yeah. No. So
move on. Yeah, we'll move on to the other game in this group. So that is going to be Bayern Munich and Barcelona, Lewandowski's revenge game. Barcelona, I guess we'll start with them. They won on the weekend 4-0 quite comfortably. De Jong scoring, Lewandowski again, Ansu Fati, it's just great to see him, and Dembele, who wasn't going to play, but then he played and got an assist. So yeah, this is the biggest match of the group, like of this round of fixtures, in my opinion.
Great. It's the one I want to watch, 100%. Yeah.
Lewandowski didn't start the game. It was pretty fully rotation, like in every position. Other than Ter Stegen. Sorry.
Is it Cadets that played this weekend? 0-0 at half time. So I watched the first half and it was so boring.
Yeah, they didn't look good at all. I was looking at it going, Bayern Munich, yes. Even though I was kind of reminding myself that it's a heavily rotated team. But they brought on all their attacking threats and showed how good they are. And they just get looking better and better the more that they gel. So I guess the biggest thing, Lewandowski with his first matchday heroics, do we keep him?
I don't think I'd ever say don't have him. And I even think that we've already mentioned the 3 forwards that you should probably have. That being said, I think if you wanted to take away one of the PSG boys or Haaland, Lewandowski's where you go. And I know that they're playing Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich drew 2-2 at the weekend. They had a pretty good defence, not the strongest defence, but they still had a good one. Still had Neuer in there. Still had Kimmich and Goretzka, I think, in midfield. In forward areas, they've massively rotated, but they looked really weak in the second half. So you'd still back Lewandowski to score against Bayern Munich. They're not some unstoppable defensive machine. And with the players around him, like Ferran Torres, who I think is so underrated, Dembele, who is playing really well at the minute, Rafinha, who's playing well at the minute, their midfield three is nice, especially Pedri and still bloody Busquets. Sorry, Sergio Busquets. They're looking good when the strongest team plays. So I think that's going to be a really easy game. I wouldn't be wanting more than one player from each team. I think the two are really obvious, especially if you're going to be limitless wildcarding, and that is Sané and Lewandowski. And I don't know, maybe if you want to punt on Dembele or something like that, because again, Bayern aren't great down the wings. Kimmich was really poor at the weekend. He got an assist, but he was bullied a couple of times. The opposition had a goal disallowed for a foul on Kimmich, and it was never a foul. So they were lucky not to lose the game, Bayern. Musiala scored a worldie, but I don't know whether he plays. One of the bits of injury news is Coleman will be out, most likely, injury. So it'll probably be Gnabry one side, Sané the other, Muller behind Mane. That's probably most likely Kimmich, and then either Goretzka or Sabitzer in the middle. So the both teams will be strong. I think it's going to be a fascinating game, but I don't think it's a game where you want to be getting assets in on any kind of wild card. And even with Barcelona, they've got Inter next, which you'd still, again, you'd fancy Lewandowski to score in every game because it's Robert Lewandowski. Of course you would.
My biggest thing about Lewandowski is that outside him and Mane, and potentially an Inter fullback, there's not many great captains on the first day, unless you were going to go Harry Kane potentially. So with all the forwards that we've mentioned, all of them play on the second day. So the reason that Lewandowski worked so well for everyone was because we all switched our captaincy to him, because our first day punt didn't go great.
Yeah.
And then Lewandowski picked up the pieces. In terms of the other way around, Lewandowski, Harry Kane, Sadio Mane, or a fullback, there's not many great captaincy shouts for that first match day, like the first day. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see who people punt on their limit lists. I think that's one of the intriguing parts about going limitless this match day, because I think we're all going to have different kinds of captains, unless half of everyone just copies people on Twitter again. So we'll see.
Yeah. I think if I'm looking at match day one captains, well, you're not wrong, are you? You got to be captaining either Inter players, Liverpool players, Ajax players.
It's just hard when it's Liverpool. We don't know if it's at Anfield. We're going to touch on them later, but yeah, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, I know what you mean. That's not the best. Yeah, it's not the best Tuesday night fixtures for a captain. Even for like a punt, it's not great. Yeah, that will be fun to try and pick the bones out of that. Next group. Is there anything more to say about Bayern, Barcelona? Any more injuries? Any?
Not that I am aware of. I do think that ball recoveries could play a big part in this. So I do think some of the midfielders, if you are wild carding, or even just as if you're not doing a chip, some of the transfers around this, especially if you had like a Chelsea player, for example, get potentially some of these lower priced options. I think ball recoveries will be huge. That just kind of like a safety blanket that get you a couple of points that you can just keep in your team. So I think that's going to be an interesting element to this, and I think it's going to play a massive part in the game. But other than that, I've got nothing else.
What group's up next?
Group D next, with the other early kickoff, Sporting against Tottenham. Obviously, we didn't see Tottenham play this weekend, so it'll be a nice rest for them, I guess. Full strength squad. We get to see the lineup anyways. They've got a couple of good price defenders. Like if Emerson plays again, he didn't do great last time. Actually, sorry, got a clean sheet last time. Apologies, but in terms of Harry Kane coming off a rest, which will probably do him good, even though it's in Portugal, Tottenham with kind of their aggression and just kind of being a thorn in the opposition side could give Sporting a good game, even though Sporting caught us off guard and they actually do look like a decent team in the Champions League. I mean, even in their own league, they won 4-0 yesterday. Trincao got 2 goals. Gonçalves back amongst the goals, even though he wasn't last week, to your relief, Dan. I remember you saying that he's the one player you're scared of.
Yeah, I was just scared because he's been so good for me in the past, and if I didn't have him, I mean, the players I was actually scared of were like Haaland and Mbappe, who destroyed me. But I was scared in terms of my personal pride about Gonçalves.
And then Santos with the other one, clean sheet as well, very, very comfortable, 62% possession, did not let the opposition have much of a sniff. So I think it'll be a very interesting game, which I'm excited to see this one. I'm probably out of the early kickoffs. I'm more excited to see this one than the Inter, even though I'll have probably more assets from the Inter game. I don't know. Do you watch your games on who assets you've got, or just which one's the best game to watch as a neutral?
Both. It just depends. So, like, I'll watch the Bayern Barcelona game because it's too good. That's too good of a game to miss, I think.
Yeah.
But let's say that game wasn't on, and I don't know, Rangers versus Napoli. I know that's the next day, but let's just say they swapped over. I just picked the game that I had the most assets from in that case. I think, to be honest, out of all these games, out of the 2 early games, I'll be watching Sport and Tottenham, I think.
Yeah.
Regardless of to be fair, I've totally gone against what I've said, so I'll probably have an Inter player. Maybe not necessarily a Sporting or a Tottenham. I might do.
The updates will come through. I just think it's all going to be Inter just peppering the goal and.
Yeah. I think Sport and Tottenham could be a good game. So yeah, I'll probably pick on what games I want to watch more than anything else. But if I've got assets, then that might sway me.
Mm-hmm. And so with this game, obviously Højbjerg still at 5.5. He could get a price rise if people are worried about that. But with people playing chips, I don't know if you would get him in. The Emerson, obviously 4.5 defender. But I think the biggest talking point is going to be Harry Kane, because he's just a dangerous player at any game really. But also Richarlison. I think Richarlison being a forward kind of positions him out the game. His price is actually quite nice, but I think it's just his positioning. If we see him play again, Kulusevski's value you kind of don't have him. But he was obviously the hero of the last game for them in the Champions League. But it's just, what do we do about Harry Kane? And unfortunately, we can't play 700 forwards.
We can't, fortunately, no.
Even if we were to try and get them as a false 9. Harry Kane, I think, is going to be a player that I'm quite worried about. And I'm hoping that Sporting do give them a good game, so that Harry Kane does not have a good game. Because he's not in my plans currently.
Yeah. I think we've also got to think about price rise. I'm sure price rises happen after this deadline straight away. So Richarlison will probably get a rise, 2 goals. So now what I think about Lewandowski, he'll probably get a rise. And I think the only other forward that would get a rise,
Haaland.
How many did Haaland get?
2, I think.
Oh yeah, probably Haaland, Mbappe, and Lewandowski. And that's the thing, if you're limitless in this week, you want to, unless you've already got the player, obviously, you might miss the rises. But I mean, that might work for you. If you've got loads of players that are going to rise, then limitless could be a good option. I think for Tottenham, you're right. I still think it's, well, not necessarily Kane or bust. I think you can still go for the likes of Perisic. Pretty penny, but again, definitely on limitless. I think you'd want Perisic because you're going to need some Tuesday night players, and where you're getting them from.
Yeah,
and I think that's a good week, a good team, to pick from. But Sporting, I think the fact that Tottenham are playing away to Sporting doesn't inspire me with loads of confidence. I think Sporting are going to be a better team at home. So yeah, Sporting wise, got a few options. Obviously, Marcus Edwards proven he's the one at the weekend, 3-0, I think, something like that.
Sporting,
Yeah,
4-0.
4-0. And Marcus Edwards got a goal assist, I think.
He didn't get a goal,
Did he?
but
I thought he
he
did.
got he definitely got an assist though.
Oh, I'm sure he got a goal and an assist.
Trincao got 2, Gonçalves, and then Santos got the 4th.
Oh, right. So yeah, still Gonçalves as well. I think this might be the week to go, Gonçalves. I just think they finally look like they might be settling in. Obviously, the battered Frankfurt, and I like the home fixture. That is something where I think Sporting will benefit. So early fixture, we'll see the team news. You're going to want players from the two games that we've talked about in terms of Inter and in Tottenham versus Sporting. So at least we get to see the team news. Obviously, we get to see if Gonçalves is playing in central midfield or in his natural position off the forward. We get to see the forward is, where's Marcus Edwards playing. But they are where I'd go to. I don't think I'd go for the defenders still, not against Tottenham. And if you're going for a Tottenham defender like Perisic, I think it's good to go for, especially on limitless, because it's a punt. It's a Tuesday night fixture. He's a wing back and get a goal assist. He can get a clean sheet, even if it's not super likely against a team like Sporting. That's what Tuesdays are for.
Definitely agree. And so that's it for that early kickoff. The other game, Marseille against Eintracht Frankfurt. I didn't realize this, but Marseille are unbeaten in the league this year. So that one caught me off guard.
Going top of the league, aren't they?
Yeah. Okay. So it's at home. They are probably the favourites because Eintracht Frankfurt are not very good.
Oh, rubbish.
So if you are not limitless in, Tavares seems like a must.
Yes, I agree.
In terms of other players, well, looking at their game against Lille, Alexis Sanchez got 1 goal and then Guigo, I don't know how to pronounce it, but that's not a surprise to anyone at this point. 2-1, they won. I think the biggest thing with Marseille, obviously they got the red card, so they're going to be without their full strength, but Kolasinac was the starting left wing back, and so Tavares got a rest. I didn't even realize he played for them, but there's potential rotation risk. But at 4 million, I do still think that he's the best shout. I haven't heard if he's injured or anything, but according to like all the stats, betting form, you would bet Marseille. So as a limitless punt, would there be anyone you'd probably look at for this? I don't think there's any. I think if you're limitless in, and obviously we're going to discuss that in the Wednesday episode, there's probably not anyone from this game, unfortunately.
Well, that's the thing. There is. You'd still go Tavares, but that's kind of like, is that where we're at? On a limitless, 4.5 million. Let's go for him. Oh, it does it again. Yeah, he's the one that you go for. I don't think I'd go for anyone else. I know they had some goal scorers in the last game. They've obviously got players that can score, so you can go somewhere else. But I feel like they're a team that everyone mucks in, don't they? They're like a really good team. And I think they're very, very underrated.
Yeah. I think just in terms of fantasy, it's quite hard to fit all these players in. Eintracht Frankfurt lost 1-0 to Wolfsburg, leaving them 11th in the table. There's still not any players to really shout about. So in terms of options, I think they're going to be Plzeň, meaning that we just skip them. I think that's the new phrase.
100% agree. Totally agree.
All right, so let's go on to the next group, Group A. Obviously, we'll discuss Napoli and Rangers in the Wednesday episode because we'll be talking about these more from a substitution point of view. But Ajax, Liverpool, we don't know if this game is going to be at Anfield. Liverpool are scheduled to be at home. I think this is just a wait and see because this could also move to the Wednesday. It's just a lot of uncertainty at the moment. Ajax, really, really good team, aren't they? They just looked really, really comfortable. They won 5-0 on the weekend. Klaassen, Taylor, Kudus with 2 more goals, and Broby. Just absolutely solid. But against Liverpool in their current form, is Ajax a better team to target at this moment in time, do you think?
100%. I think if you look at, obviously, I think they've got the easiest fixture out the way, not just because it's Rangers, but it was Rangers in Amsterdam. So even when they go away, I don't think it's going to be 4-0. Liverpool are in the mud at the minute, but has the weekend off helped them? Maybe.
Potentially.
Very much so. If it's not at Anfield, you'd fancy Ajax more. But I think their players are so reasonably priced in midfield that you can really go for them. Just as a quick heads up, Bassi got injured at the weekend, so unlikely to play. That's 4 million defender immediately out. Again, I don't think I'd pick him anyway because you've got Tavares, who I'd probably replace him with, and you've got the 4 million lad from Porto, Danny C. So you can go with him, not Marcano. He doesn't play anymore. I tried to warn as many people as possible before that happened. So yeah, I think especially like you've got Kudus, 5.5 million midfielder.
5.
Oh, he has so many points. He's been playing up front. He looks like a quality player. You can still go for your Berghuis or your Bergwijn. Yeah, I like the look of them still. Ajax. I don't really care about the fixtures because I don't think from this point on I'd go for any Ajax defenders personally. I just think they can score against anyone. They can score against Liverpool, they can score against Napoli. It's not like Napoli have got a great defence. They're just, again, electric going forward. So yeah. I think that having a couple of Ajax midfielders, and one of them's playing out of position up front for a combined of what, like 12 million or something? There's 12 million it would be. And they're probably going to get rises. Like Berghuis probably will. Bergwijn might.
Kudus will definitely.
Kudus is getting a rise. He is getting a rise.
He'll probably go up to 5.2 or 5.3. So
yeah, like get him in. And that again, some people. So obviously, if anyone that listens to Spaces with myself and Lewis has Kudus in, so him limitless in makes no difference whatsoever. If you don't have him in, you're missing that rise. If you're limitless, so there are things to consider with the price rises because they are less volatile than FPL, the price rises. It happens once. And kind of guess who it's going to be. The player's price matters. So the reason why I was saying someone like, I don't know, maybe like Neymar doesn't get a price rise because he got an assist. It's because he cost 10 million. Like if Haaland only got 1 goal, Lewandowski only got 1 goal, they're probably not going to get a rise because it's 1 goal in for 11 million. It's not worth the rise. But when you've got a 5 million midfielder doing absolute bits, breaking the game on match day 1, he's going to get a point, at least a 0.1, if not a 0.2. I like to say maybe even a 0.3 rise. So I think he's someone that's got to go for, and I wouldn't be scared of any Ajax fixtures, regardless of where it is and who they're playing. In an attacking / midfield sense, maybe not defenders.
So let's cover Liverpool from if they play at Anfield versus if they don't, just in the last little bit. If you're limitless in, I'm guessing you would go Salah?
Yeah, I think you have to, being on pens for Liverpool. I think you probably go... You want as many Tuesday players as possible, so you probably go on Diaz as well. And then you dare go for one of the defenders. You're going to go for Trent or Robbo, probably Trent. I mean, wow, his game was so bad against Napoli. I don't think you'll get away with that if they do play at Anfield, though.
I think with Trent, the fact that they got rid of Nico Williams and there's no competition really for the right back spot, I think has hurt Trent more because Robbo will have to play better, knowing that Tsimikas is there for the taking for that spot.
Well, so, Joe Gomez can play a right back, and he's not been doing very well at centre back. So Klopp might be like, well, Joe Gomez at right back, because I think Matip's back.
Yeah.
So
the sooner Matip and Thiago get back into the starting 11, the better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what Thiago's going to make a massive difference because he obviously we're criticising him at first, and rightly so because he wasn't great and he wasn't that good for Bayern Munich at times. But he's really settled in, and you've got to like give credit where it's due. He's now one of their most, if not their most important player. He's so integral to how they tick. It's a joke.
So, with I guess the last group for this day, is Group B, I believe. Yep. So Porto versus Club Bruges. I think there's going to be I think for wild cards, there's going to be a lot of defenders chosen from these. Even though none of them kept clean sheets in the first match day, Porto and Atletico Madrid.
Oh, okay. I was going to say Club Bruges didn't they?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. I just meant with the ones that are like the most selected by.
Yeah.
Because of the last minute kind of added time craziness, which we know is not going to happen. That should have been a 0-0, which our plan would have worked. But we'll see how it goes. So Porto at home, they won 3-0 yesterday to Chavez, Taremi with a goal, Ivan Nielsen with another goal, and Franco with the 82nd minute goal.
That's a lot of goals. 82 goals.
82 goals in a 3-0 win. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then Club Bruges, they obviously won. They beat Leverkusen. Bundesliga team's not doing great, are they? No. But they won yesterday as well, 2-0. Laren and Vanaken Skywalker with the goals. So what is kind of your initial thoughts about this game? Porto favourites to win, but your Bruges have a soft spot in your heart, Dan.
They do have a soft spot, but I'm still not going for any of them. Putting on Nuclear Matchday 1, that's not going to happen again because I'm going for the premium fellas up top. I don't mind that he didn't do anything. It would have been great if he did, but I knew the risk. He's a $5.5 million forward. It's absolutely fine. But obviously we need to go for sure things from now on. And if we look at Club Bruges, obviously Porto now, not great, but then Atletico twice, and then Porto again before Leverkusen again. They only beat Leverkusen 1-0. Leverkusen had a couple of goals disallowed it? Not English. Disallowed for offside. So totally threw myself off for that one. So I don't have much faith in Bruges. I think they like playing against bigger teams. Like when they play against PSG or a Man City or a Real Madrid, I think they're so up for it. But against just good teams, they're not that great. And I know it's really harsh for me to say because they won 1-0 against Leverkusen, but Leverkusen aren't good. So I think it's Porto who need the win and who, again, that game had 0-0 written all over it until the sending off in the 82nd or 3rd minute or something like that. So I think Porto are a really good bet. Obviously, this game, then they've got Leverkusen at home in match day 3. And then, Leverkusen away, whatever, and then Club Bruges again. So I think if you go for Porto now, they're a team you can stick on for 4 game weeks. They've got a €4 million defender. They've got a goalkeeper that can make save points. As far as limitless goes, Taremi will be suspended, I imagine. 1 match suspension for being sent off. Who else going for? Uribe, he's the penalty taker. Is there anyone else you're going for from Porto? I don't think so. But they are a team to go for just defensively, I think. I really do think that.
Yeah.
Have they got any do they ever have the only time they've got an early kickoff is match day 5 against Bruges, and that's a Wednesday anyway, so it's like not the best early kickoff. But no, actually they've got one at Atletico Madrid as well. Last game, match day 6. And that'll be on the Tuesday again. Arguably not the best game to have them then anyway.
Yeah. I think this game, potentially there's a lot of ball recoveries for both teams, but Porto in Portugal, I think are the clear favourites, and I think it just depends on how many of the first day you want to go for, because there's players with a lot higher ceilings than the Wednesday, so people are going to be targeting them a lot more. In terms of the other game in this group, and this is the last Tuesday game, Leverkusen and Atletico Madrid. Leverkusen obviously losing to Bruges, but yesterday they drew 2-2 with Hertha Berlin. And then Atletico Madrid, I cannot see for some reason. Cannot see.
The one massive, I think 3-0, 4-0.
Was it a Griezmann goal? After
no, Griezmann did come on after 62 or 63 minutes, but I don't think he scored. I think the game was done and dusted by then.
Right.
I can't remember the score, but it was 2-3-4-0 from what I saw of it. So capable of keeping a clean sheet again. After Leverkusen, they've got Bruges twice, and they've got Leverkusen again, obviously. So Atletico Madrid defenders again, get them locked in for whatever, whether that's a limitless or a bog standard wildcard. Reinildo, because of his price. Obviously, I think everyone's going to stay away from the goalkeeper now after that blatant lie. So I think you go for Reinildo. I don't really you don't want the other ones. Like Hermoso always looks like he's about to get sent off. Jimenez is on edge. Like a lot of them play on the edge. And I think the wing backs are all classed as midfielders.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not worth it. I wouldn't be going for any midfielders or attackers again. Griezmann's just, I mean, he's getting you 5 points every game, probably. Maybe 8 because he got player of the match last time, didn't he? But I just think pick an Atletico Madrid defender and move on.
And just pray that.
And as far as Leverkusen goes, stay away from them.
Yeah, they've been Plzeň. But yeah, that's it for the Tuesday games. So good luck picking through that analysis.
Yeah. I mean, this is it. And obviously we'll touch on it on the wild card. It's actually not a great week 2 wild card or limitless wild card in terms of setting up a team with Tuesday fixtures, because that is what you want. There are going to be lots of gambles. And I mean, look, there's some great fixtures for Wednesday, some great fixtures. But obviously, it's just mathematically, it makes so much more sense to have Tuesday. If they fail, you can put in the Wednesdays. So, yeah, lots to unpack. I don't think this is as simple as last year. Last year's was really, really easy. All the must-have fixtures were on Tuesday. So, yeah, I wouldn't listen to the noise. There are, including from us, preface that, you have to look at the fixtures on your own and decide what you want to do, not what other people want to do. There is so much value to limitless in this week. There is so much value to standard wildcarding. There is so much value to not playing a chip at all. And equally, there are pitfalls, massive pitfalls to all 3 of them. Depends on where your team's at, in what you feel comfortable doing, where do you think the edges can be gained. And it's about thinking, especially with chips and non-chip usage, how to use them together. So by using your limitless this week, because you're only going to get them the next few weeks, and we'll always say Matchday 6 is a write-off anyway, do you devalue your wild card? But if you use your wild card now, are you missing out on the best limitless opportunities? These are the things that we need to think of. We need to think of your limitless and your wild card is one entity that you get to use, not 2 separate things. Otherwise, your head's going to be spinning around in circles, I think. So, yeah. But that's us for this, isn't it? We're now going to jump onto the Wednesday podcast. So, thanks, everyone, for listening. We are just going to record straight after, so me and Aaron aren't being mucky. We will just be wearing the same clothes, and that's okay, and my hair will still be wet from the rain. Thank you so much for listening, everyone, and we will see you for the next one. Bye now.